Hello, my name is Jeff Jamulo, and today I'm going to talk about movie selections. Bear in mind that movies, what what you watch is what you consume is actually what you are. So it affects you a lot. However, what's really funny is over the years I've realized that analyzing past people I've been with and movies they liked brings up some interesting conversation. Example is my ex girlfriend actually used to like vampires, movies about thieves, and deception. No offense, she was an energy vampire and she was a kleptomaniac, likes to steal things, and she was deceptive all the time. She was the queen of lies. So maybe there's something to that. That when we watch movies we like, it reinforces things that we are. That, or we can look at it as instruction, perhaps. And I do believe over time it kind of does drift and change a little bit. However, think about it that way, that things just drift a little bit. Such as, imagine you going over, just deciding you want to shoplift something. You end up going to jail for a month or two. You go to jail and you learn the works at this point. Now you're among professional thieves. You learn things. It's that kind of education is what I'm getting at, is you're kind of getting an education in the field of interest to you. Then you get out and, oh, guess what? You got more skills now. That's what I think actually certain movies are just reinforcing in you, because you're kind of working out the math at how are these supposed to be, how it's supposed to look. So that's what I get out of that. I can also, there's another ex of mine. No offense, she was abusive to me, clearly, because let's see, the movies she liked were horror movies that involved women abusing men, and a lot of drama. No surprise, Annette, who that is. So, and literally, I spent 9 years being tortured by her and actually having her totally rip my life apart. But the good news is I wouldn't be the person I am today if that didn't happen. Because I've had to learn a lot through that process. But what I'm trying to be nice and say is that despite all that, you may want to, it could be a good indicator of who they are by what they watch. So maybe, conversation on a first date would be, well, what's your favorite movies? What about, kind of gauge it out a little bit. Because you never know how that's going to shake out. I technically could be completely wrong. It could just be all me. But that's the pattern that I've noticed over the years, is that a lot of people, and I expect actually family also, watch what they consume and see if it's in alignment with what you consume. My brother watches a lot of football and everything else. We'll sit there and he'll watch the debates. I'm like, couldn't care less. It's all fiction. So none of it really matters. Another side story is I've actually know of another person who the movies they watch was movies about fairies, fantasy stuff, and musicals. I'm like, okay. Well, they do like artistic things. They kind of like, live a little bit in the clouds. Yeah. Well, now I'm going to give you my list. And this is actually specific movies. Generally, I watch these, I would say often. I used to watch them actually once a week or about then. And I'll actually tell you why I watch them. The first movie is Midway, the new version. It's about the Battle of Midway, World War II. If you haven't watched it, it's actually a good movie. It's actually an historically accurate movie versus the original one, which was not. I don't want to spoil it, but largely we decoded. We figured out what their plan was. We just didn't know when. We set a trap, and Despite they had more forces than us, we actually, I wouldn't say accidentally, but with God's favor, we won. We turned the whole tide of World War II because of that battle. That's the importance of that battle. But to me, that showed something very different. It is, look at the determination to do this. One of the scenes toward the end was they had to go back out and reattack. They'd attack another aircraft carrier. And the key actor goes over and turns to his navigator, I guess, or bombardier, the other person in the plane with him, and says, "What you do now matters," that kind of thing, kind of guilting him into it. And it always, for a second, stops and makes me think, if I was in that person's position, knowing that the fate of the world is on this, what would I do? Would I go in that plane? I know what I would do. I would. But the question is would you? Watch the movie and think about it a second. What would you do? There's a lot of interesting decisions that are made in that movie. One of the scenes is where one of the captured guys goes over and smart mouths Japanese officer and kind of gets thrown overboard. Welcome to the real world. That's what they did. If you're crunching, my dog found a bone, and it's proceeding to chew on it. The next movie, and I watch quite regularly, it's actually a Marvel movie. It's Wonder Woman. And I watched that movie for... The long and the gist of it is she's an Amazon, and she goes and helps save the world. And I believe it's World War I. And I actually did not know that takes place in England. I did not know that was a English character. So that's something I did not know. But what enthralled me about the movie is throughout her... It's one of the only Marvel movies that she, as a woman, does not look down on men. If you pay attention to the movie, she looks at men as what they are, right? It's not really a negotiation. It's just, it is what it is. It's acceptance. And she does, miraculous, no one say miraculous things. She does incredible things. She kind of does things with her shield and does all this thing. Very good movie to watch. Okay, however, to me, it indicates the nature of people, and that you should be less judgmental. She could judge people because she's she's superhuman. She can do whatever. She's from a god, But no, it just kind of puts you back in your place. The next actual movie I watch every week, and it makes me smile for two reasons, actually. It's historically accurate enough, and B, it brings out the geek in me, and that is Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures actually is about women who used to work at NASA back in the 50s-ish, 60s, when they were doing the space program. And it brings out the geek in me because the one woman actually started to work with a computer system called Fortran before anyone else did, and became, very good movie if you haven't watched it. It does have some racial issues in it because at the time they were dealing with racial issues. And it basically helps walk through what they had to go with, because I looked at it as an inspiration for, despite all this going on in their life, they still moved forward with their plans to do this. Every one of them had a plan. Everyone executed that plan. It may not have been perfect, but they executed it. I look forward to it. I generally do. There's one other woman that I do like in the computer field, and her name was Grace Harper. She was an admiral in the Navy. She's called the mother of computing because she invented the COBOL language, to which, to this day, we have not had a good parser to figure out what the grammar is for that. And that's 70 years later. We still have not figured out a good way, because they did it by hand back then, So it was kind of like magic. And we have not systematically figured out. Anyway, but I do look up to her because she literally went over and told people that, yeah, well, things take time, and said for electricity to go through space, it takes 1 millisecond for electricity to go that far. And people were just looking at her like, I didn't know that. Like, that's what I just told you. So when it takes 4 minutes to get a response back from space, you can't figure out why that far. But I do strongly recommend that movie. The next movie is called Glory. I think there might be another one out, but this is actually about a white commander of a... it's about a white general that is in charge of I like to say federal, but let's just call it Yankee, as opposed to Confederate. I think it's called federal. Or republic. No, I think it's federal. It's called federal. He's a general in the federal army during the Civil War. And he's actually forming, the part of their tasking is to actually form up a black regiment of black people, and how the racism on that happens and how he deals with it. As much as there's struggles throughout it, there's struggles just with the establishment of the army. Like, oh, we don't want to do anything with you, even though you're supposed to go fight, but no. It's an interesting movie. It's an inspirational movie for me. It has a bad ending where they all die, but other than that, actually, it's a historical ending. It's a good ending. And I generally watch that not every week, but every other week. It actually helps me focus on, well, other than there's a lot of violence in it, unfortunately. But it's, as much as that movie has a lot of violence in it, it does actually, for myself, it actually does help motivate me. It means, despite all the adversity going around in my life, as much as I may be ridiculed, I be looked down upon by others, I still command me. Lord willing, let's do this. And that's really what it was. And a lot of that information that came from that movie was from letters from him to his family. Look, this is what he, what he saw while he was there. The next movie, you're about to hear about the soft spot of me. So it is Simply Irresistible. Simply Irresistible, actually, it's a cutesy movie. It's like, it's a romantic movie in a way. But it's a romantic movie of, I'm going to have to spoil some of this, but the guy actually thinks he's under a spell with this woman that thinks she's a witch or something. And actually, she just puts her emotions into her food that she makes, and people like it. And I think that passion that she has for that, and that love, I believe that happens in anyone who works in their passion, and anyone who works with their passion. I enjoy computers, so I put love into my computers, into computer work, and it's usually reflected that way, and other people appreciate it. Unfortunately, my dog just keeps roaming around like a crazy one. Oddly enough, it's actually a good one for kids, because I don't think there's actually any sex in it at all. I'd be surprised. I don't even think there's any swear words. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 swear words, real small ones. But it's actually a pretty good movie. I like the movie. It's an indication of a little bit of snark in the movie, and also a little bit of when God puts two people together, God will put two people together. Just no matter how stubborn they really are. So that is my list. Don't get me wrong, there's other movies I like. Like there's a Marvel movie, what is it, Captain Marvel? I actually don't like the actor that's in it, that she plays. I like the music, 80s music. Just like I like Bumblebee, which is a Transformer movie. I like that one. for the music. They have really decent music on it, and a lot of it looks like the 80s. So kind of have an 80s child. Clearly, I was in the 80s, I was a child. As I said, there's a lot of other movies I watch, but generally they don't really have a meaning to them. Some I watch for profiling purposes. Like I have them on my servers, so I can, when someone wants to watch it, oh, you want to watch it? Okay, let's go see. So I can see their reaction to them, because I said I've kind of seen all the movies, and I don't pick a lot of them. I have close to almost 5,000 movies on my server. Every time I rent one, I watch it, rip it, take it back. So, by the way, I did pay for them, so I get to view them again. And that's what really I do. And I said, we used to go to a place that did DVD rentals, actually. It was Family Video. And they used to have older movies, like maybe 10-year-old movies. It'd be like, for a week, you could rent them like, $5 for $1 or something like that. And being a computer person, I'd go over and pick 20, 30 of them. And over the week, I would throw them in and out of the computer as I'm working, ripping them and watching them. So that's what I did a lot, and that's why I got a pretty good collection. Some of them are not real good movies, but what do you expect for cheap? But some of them are actually really good movies I never thought I would have. There's movies that I didn't even, wow, I'd never even seen this. And thank God I didn't see this because it was a good movie. But, I said, there's other movies. Other movies that are actually a little bit surprising. There's a movie called Passengers. I think it's the latest one. Because there's one actually before that that's a drama. It's actually about going into outer space, and a person opens up, accidentally something happens and his pod opens up, and he's all alone. He's got years, 25, 30 years alone until they actually get there. Or actually it's 20 or 30 years, and then he realizes that, oh no, it's 100 years. It's like he said, it's over 100 years, so everyone's asleep that's supposed to go. And he kind of busts another one open so he has someone to talk to. And because of his loneliness, he realizes, he just kind of condemned this person to death too, because that's 100 years. That's a lifetime. So anyway, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's basically things happen in the movie. I just don't watch it that often, but it's actually a really good movie to watch. But it's not about movie reviews. Back to what I was originally saying is, watch what people watch. Hey, talk to your friends. What do you watch? Take notes, because they're telling you who they are or what they're interested in. The question is, are you listening? It also means you should probably come up with a list of movies yourself, because if you ask someone else for their movies, they're going to want to know what yours are. So choose wisely. Or look at the movies and see what you're missing. Have a great day.